Thank you for being here today. Today I'm going to talk about a subject which has been of interest to me for some time, and it's something that I've been thinking about a little bit based on previous videos that I've done. And this is the subject of why isn't it empowering for men to wear women's clothes? As a bit of background to this question, I had to think about things like the feminist movement, suffragettes, the things that women had to fight for. So if you have a generally good understanding of the way that, particularly in the UK, but completely around the world, women have and continue to have to fight for equal rights in society, whether that's equal pay, whether it's equal opportunities, whether it's access to voting rights, whatever it happens to be, equal medical care, clothing, etc. Women have always needed to find ways in which to fight for equality. Now, I'm a firm believer in one thing, which I'll just get out of the way right now, which is I don't believe you achieve equality by slowly eking someone up to reach the same level of parity. I'm very much of the belief that in order to achieve equality, sometimes you have to promote a minority group above a majority group, because the progress of creeping someone up to just getting equal but never more than the majority group is incredibly slow, it's painful, it's difficult, and you never really get there. You know, we've been talking for years about how the pay gap between men and women in the UK is, I think it's about 80% still. You know, the average woman doing the same job earns about 80% of the amount of a man. And that may be to do with, you know, people always come up with excuses of, well, it's because of paternity leave or maternity leave, that kind of stuff. It's taking time off to have kids. If you do the same job as someone else, you should be paid the same money. It's as simple as that. And that's something that, you know, I believe in. Having said that, I also firmly believe that parity doesn't get achieved, as I've said, by slowly, incrementally getting someone up, but never above. Sometimes to achieve parity, you have to advance someone above other people. That's why we have things like all-female shortlists for certain activities. For example, if you want to be an MP in certain parties, you have all-female shortlists in order to promote more women getting into Parliament. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I think it's a necessary thing. And I think that if you happen to live in a time when you see that happening, it might feel unfair to you. If you're a male, white male in the UK, and you see females being represented more in film, you see all-female films coming out, you see all-female shortlists for MPs, you see various ways in which minority groups or underprivileged groups are being advanced, you might feel, and you're wrong, but you might feel that you are somehow, you know, you're put upon, and it's a negative situation for you, and you need to fight back about that. What you have to understand is in the course of history, in 100 years when you're dead, and you will be dead in 100 years' time, when you're dead, it won't matter. What will matter is during this period, did we or did we not achieve parity in general for those underprivileged people? When you look back at the past, men have dominated politics. They've dominated government. They've dominated positions of power in companies. And you're not going to achieve parity for women by slowly getting to a 50-50. Sometimes you need to advance women above men, and if you happen to live in the time when that's happening, you've got to suck that up and accept it, that you are maybe in the generation that has to lose one. You've got to lose one. Men have won for, you know, millennia. We've won everything, you know, for millennia. You might be in the generation that's got to lose a couple, and that's tough luck on you. Now, given that we are seeming to be in that generation right now, it does feel like we're in that sense of time where people are fighting back against feminism and people are resisting this idea that women should be promoted. And I hear a lot of stuff when we talk about films. I love films. I hear a lot of people talking about, you know, you shouldn't have all female lists for directors. You should pick the best person to do the job. And I think that's bullshit. I don't think that works. The reason it doesn't work is because you have to create the opportunities, and to create the opportunities and to create the talent and to create people out there in the world who can do these things, you need to push certain people. and you need to create opportunities for them. You're not going to create equality or create parity unless you create specific opportunities for types of people. And I think we're living today in a society where some men feel like they are hard done by this. And I think this bleeds into my point. So why is it not empowering for men to dress as women? When for women, it was absolutely empowering for women to be able to start wearing trousers, to wear typically male dress, whether it's for comfort reasons, for convenience reasons, for fashion reasons, whatever it was. Why was it empowering for women to wear men's clothes, but it's not empowering for men to wear women's clothes? And I wanted to tie this back to a general idea about the LGBT community as a whole. My view is women are still seen as weaker than men in society. Women are delicate. Women are lesser than men. Not my view. I think that's a general view. I think when a woman, or when you have feminine clothes, as I'm wearing today, this outfit, I believe the way that I'm viewed, I think I'm viewed as being, by some areas of society, as being less of a man because I've chosen to dress in a way that is feminine, and feminine is weak. Feminine is less than male, less than masculine. And I feel like that is something that pervades this whole issue of cross-dressing. Why is cross-dressing seen as a weak thing for men to do? Why is it a shameful thing for men to do? Why is it not empowering for me to wear women's clothes? Why is it that having the confidence to dress like this and go out onto the street and walk around is not seen as being empowering? It's not seen as, oh, there's a confident person. There's someone who knows how they want to dress. It isn't seen that way. Some people do, but the majority of people don't. And I think it comes down to the idea that there's a general belief that by dressing like this, I've chosen to surrender my masculinity, my power, my control, and I've chosen to be less dominant by doing this, more submissive, more of a sissy, if you want to put it that way. And it's not seen as being an empowering thing at all. And I think that's something that we need to change as a society. I've talked about this before, there are a number of people who will assume that I'm gay because I dress this way. There are a number of people who assume that I'm a sissy because I dress this way, whatever you happen to think a sissy is. And it isn't seen as being empowering and strong. And I think that's really important because there's a debate going on today about how transgender people and cross-dressers are invading the territory of lesbians and feminists, and how it's men getting into the kind of female environment and invading it. And I think one of the things that's occurred to me, and I feel is true, is that we actually have a sort of common bond here. And the common bond is that the worst attributes that seem to be attributed to women based on their femininity, the idea that female is weaker. As I said, I don't agree with that, but I think there's this idea that being female is weaker in some areas of society. And the cross-dressing male has that exact thing passed on to them. We don't share, backgrounds of sex. We don't share common experiences when we're growing up. There are lots of things that make us different. But one thing that I think we do share is that a lot of the prejudice that exists still in society against women, I feel gets passed on to the cross-dressing male and to the trans female communities. So I feel like there is a common ground there that can be resisted by both communities, to resist and push back on this idea that to be female is to be weak, to be female is to be lesser, to dress as you wish to dress is to express weakness. And I think that needs to, that can come to the foreground. And I think there's something there where we can start to advance this debate beyond purely cross-dressing might be weird, men invading the territory of lesbians and feminists, and start thinking about what is the root cause of the aggression, the resistance to both the cross-dressing community and the advancement of women. I feel sure that there is enough common ground there to find a means of working together and pushing and basically dealing with a common problem. A common thread running through a lot of these arguments of femininity is weakness, and that applies to me as much as it does to any woman who exists out there. Now, I'm not trying to claim in any way that I can understand the feminist perspective. I have my own experiences from that. I don't claim to speak for anyone within that community, but it does seem to me that we have at least a common stereotype to work against, and those of us who perhaps are more inclined to go out in public and who are able to present ourselves should be able to find ways to have conversations with feminists, with lesbians, about common experiences and common misconceptions, common stereotypes, common prejudices that are against the femininity that we portray. Anyway, I wanted to say thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. I'd love to know if there's any comments from anyone on this subject and whether anyone feels particularly strongly about this. I feel like there's a real opportunity here, but I don't know the degree to which people would share my views that there is this commonality between lesbianism, femininity, cross-dressing, transgenderism, anything along those lines. I don't know if people will share my opinion on this one. I think it's one just to throw out there for debate. I'm interested to hear if anyone's got any particular thoughts on this topic, if this is something that resonates with people, or if you feel strongly that this is not the case. I'm more than happy to hear from anyone, whether it's agreeing, disagreeing, or adding to this debate. Certainly be very happy to hear from you. So if there are any comments or any questions, please let me know down below. You can reach me through my website, which is www.julietnoir.uk, or you can reach me through my email address, which is julietisnoir@gmail.com. You'll find the links to both of those in the description of this video. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from some people and maybe a little bit of lively debate. Thanks for joining me in this video. Look forward to talking to you all again soon. And as ever, bye! Bye!